Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive today. We're going way back
Oh, wow.
to ancient China, cracking open the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine.
Okay.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's like the legendary text in traditional Chinese medicine,
Right.
supposedly passed down from the Yellow Emperor himself. I don't know about you, but the idea of health advice from thousands of years ago, that's just cool.
It is cool. It's fascinating. What's really interesting is this text doesn't just like talk about herbs or treatments.
Hmm.
It actually links the human body to like nature's rhythms.
Oh,
Like how everything's connected. It's an idea that's getting traction again today.
totally. That's what we're diving into, you know? What wisdom can we unearth from this ancient text, especially about this idea of achieving balance?
Hmm.
Have you ever thought about how, say, the change in seasons like messes with your energy or
Right.
like what your food cravings actually mean?
Yeah.
The Yellow Emperor's classic suggests there's a reason for all of it.
Yeah, right from the start. The text kind of gets into how stuff happening outside us, like in nature,
Mm-hmm.
becomes stuff happening inside our bodies.
Okay.
They call these 8 winds.
Mm-hmm.
Like forces of nature,
Mm-hmm.
transforming into 5 meridian winds within us.
Okay, wind sounds kind of poetic. What's that actually mean for our health?
Well, think of it like this. These winds are disruptions,
Uh-huh.
messing with the flow of qi, that vital energy in Chinese medicine.
Right.
Let's say a cold front blasts through. In the text's view, that external force can become a meridian wind,
Okay.
targeting an organ. Suddenly you're more likely to get that sniffle or cough.
So like how some people swear they always get sick when the seasons change, it's
Yeah.
not just in their heads.
Right.
Maybe their body is actually more sensitive to those shifts.
Exactly. The text is saying we're not separate from our environment, it's all interconnected. Which makes you think,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
If those winds can make us sick, can we also harness them for good?
Ooh. Now that's an interesting thought. Okay, well the text also spends a lot of time on the seasons themselves. And this whole idea of seasonal dominance,
Mm-hmm.
we've got the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, each tied to a season, right?
And what's powerful here is the idea of a cycle. Each season's energy, its dominance, influences the next
Fun.
spring, which is wood overcomes late summer, which is earth.
Interesting.
And it's not just out there in nature. This cycle impacts our organs, too.
So instead of seasons just being about the weather, they're like, energetic forces we need to work with.
Exactly. The text links specific organs to each season, and they become more vulnerable during that time.
Oh,
Spring's all about the liver. So liver health is key then.
makes sense.
Summer, the heart's in the spotlight.
Ugh.
Late summer.
Yeah.
Spleen time.
Oh.
Autumn. Lungs.
Cute.
And in winter, we got to take care of those kidneys.
I'm starting to see the connections. Like so many people have springtime allergies, which often involve the lungs, right?
Right.
And in the summer, with all that heat, it's easier to feel agitated, which could be that heart connection.
It's like the text is giving us a heads up thousands of years in advance.
Wow.
Pay attention to these seasonal patterns, it says. And you can stay healthier.
Mhm.
For example, spring might bring those nasal issues.
Hmm.
While in summer, watch out for anything around the chest and ribs.
I'm seeing why this text is considered such a classic, but it gets even deeper. There's this whole concept of yin and yang, which I admit I've always found kind of mysterious.
Ah, yin and yang. It's not just a cool symbol. It's a foundational principle in this whole system, and the text explains it beautifully.
Okay, so break it down for me. How does yin and yang play into the Yellow Emperor's classic? What's the big idea here?
Well, it's all about balance, really.
Okay.
You know how in nature there's always this interplay of opposites,
Mm-hmm.
light and dark, hot and cold,
Mm-hmm.
active and passive. That's yin and yang.
Okay.
They're not like fighting each other. They're actually completing each other. And the Yellow Emperor's Classic says this same dance is happening inside us all the time.
So it's not like one is good and one is bad. It's more about finding that sweet spot between them.
Exactly. And the text even gives like specific examples of how this works. Like think about the different times of day.
Oh?
John, that's yang energy emerging within the yin of night.
Uh-huh.
Midday is peak yang, all that sunshine and activity.
Right.
Then as we head towards evening, yin starts to take over again.
I'm seeing how this could apply to so much more than just day and night, though. What
What?
about in our bodies? Does the text give examples there?
Absolutely. It talks about how different parts of our bodies express yin and yang. For example, your back. That's considered more yang,
Okay.
while your abdomen is more yin. Same goes for our organs and bowels. Organs are yin, bowels are yang.
Interesting.
It's like this whole map of how these forces are always interacting within us.
Okay, so knowing this, what do we actually do with it? How does understanding yin and yang actually help us stay healthy?
That's where it gets really practical. In traditional Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
any imbalance, any illness
Yeah.
is seen as like a disruption of that yin-yang harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So diagnosis and treatment, it all comes back to restoring balance.
Wow, that's pretty profound when you think about it. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got these big concepts, external forces, seasonal changes, yin and yang. But the Yellow Emperor's Classic gets even more granular.
Uh-huh.
It connects each of the 5 elements to a whole bunch of things. Colors, emotions, even planets. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
Yeah.
And it shows how deeply they understood this web of connections. Everything has its place, its energy, its correspondence to something else.
All right, give me an example. What's one of those element connections that just jumps out at you from the text?
Let's take the color green.
Okay.
The text links that to the wood element, the liver, and the emotion of anger.
Anger.
It goes even further. Green is also tied to the sour flavor. The chicken as a symbolic animal. Wheat is the grain. And even the planet Jupiter.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Sour foods, springtime, those are both things that can kind of wake us up a bit, shake things loose. Maybe that's the liver connection.
You're getting it. And the text does suggest that each element has this kind of overall energetic vibe. Fire, for instance, that's linked to red.
Okay.
The heart, joy. The bitter flavor, sheep, millet grain. And the planet Mars.
See, now that makes sense to me. Red is stimulating. Joy can get your heart racing.
Right.
Even Mars is known for its fiery energy. It's like each element has a whole personality.
Exactly. And that's what makes this system so rich. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about understanding these deeper connections.
So if I'm feeling super anxious, which the text says is linked to the metal element in the lungs, maybe I should be eating more white foods, like cauliflower or parsnips. Is that how I'd use this knowledge?
Got it. It's all about bringing those elements back into balance. And remember how each element is tied to a season too?
Right.
Well, the text suggests we should adjust our lifestyles to match those seasonal energies.
Okay, give me the rundown. What are the key things to know about each season, according to the Yellow Emperor's Classic?
Well, we've already talked about spring being wood. The liver's time to shine.
Right.
Summer with all that heat and activity is fire in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Late summer, that's their earth harvest time. And we need to pay attention to the spleen.
Okay.
As things wind down in autumn, that's metal and the lungs, a time for letting go, and finally winter. All about stillness, water, and the kidneys.
It's like each season has a to-do list for our health, but I gotta be honest, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is a lot. Don't get overwhelmed, though. The text isn't giving us strict rules. It's giving us a framework for understanding.
Right.
Start by noticing the connections that resonate with you. Pay attention to how your energy shifts with the seasons, what foods you crave, how you feel emotionally. It's all information.
That's a good advice.
Yeah.
And speaking of things to pay attention to, the text really emphasizes this idea of essence.
Right.
Why is that so important, and what does it actually mean?
Essence, or Jing in Chinese, is like our life force battery. We inherit some from our parents. But it's finite. We got to make it last.
Okay.
And the Yellow Emperor's Classic is very clear. If you burn through your essence, you age faster, get sick easier. It impacts everything.
So it's kind of like, if our energy were a bank account, we need to make deposits A&D, avoid overspending.
Perfect analogy. The text actually gives us specific ways to make deposits.
Yep.
Getting enough sleep, managing stress, meditation, gentle exercise, all that good stuff.
Right.
Nourishing our bodies with the right foods, of course. And it even says to be mindful of excessive sexual activity.
Oh.
Apparently that drains essence too.
You know, it's amazing how much of this ancient advice is stuff we're still hearing today. Get enough sleep, manage stress, eat well. It's like they were onto something back then.
It really shows you that some truths about health are timeless. And the text goes even deeper, explaining how specific lifestyle choices and practices can impact our essence for better or worse.
Okay, I'm ready for more. What are some of those essence-boosting or essence-depleting things the text talks about?
One of the biggest things is living in alignment with the natural world.
Okay.
Remember those seasonal energies we were talking about?
Right.
It's not just about like adjusting your diet. It's about aligning your activity level, your sleep patterns, even your emotional outlook. to match what's happening in nature.
So like in winter, when everything's quieter and more inward, maybe that's not the time to be starting a million new projects.
Exactly. Winter's a time for rest, reflection, going inward just like nature is, conserving that essence, just like the trees are storing up their energy for spring.
I can see how that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, are there specific practices the text recommends for each season?
There are. For instance, in spring, the text emphasizes gentle exercise,
Okay.
like taking walks in nature. Remember, spring's all about the liver.
Right.
And the liver loves smooth flowing movement. In summer, it suggests staying cool, avoiding excessive heat. Think about the heart. It doesn't want to be overworked.
Right.
Late summer is all about moderation, not overindulging. To support the spleen,
Okay.
autumn's a time for letting go, both physically and emotionally, to help the lungs release what they don't need. And in winter, it's all about rest.
Yeah.
Staying warm and nourishing the kidneys.
It's like a whole year's worth of self-care tips, straight from ancient China. I'm definitely going to be referencing this when planning my year. But before we wrap up, there's one more thing I'm curious about.
Okay.
The text talks about this connection between essence and aging. How does that work exactly?
Well, the text views aging as a natural process, a gradual decline of our essence over time.
Okay.
But it's not just about wrinkles and gray hair. It's about our overall vitality, our resilience, our ability to adapt and thrive, and the choices we make throughout our lives can either accelerate or slow down that decline.
So it's like we have some control over how we age. It's not just predetermined.
Exactly. The text is very empowering in that way, saying yes, aging is natural, but we can influence how we age by how we live.
Okay.
If we take care of our essence, we can age gracefully, maintain our vitality, and live fulfilling lives well into our later years.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive, I feel like. I have gained a whole new perspective on health, on balance, on how to live in greater harmony with myself and the natural world.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Yellow Emperor's classic is full of wisdom that we could explore for days.
I bet.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you a taste of what's possible when we tap into these ancient principles.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that, even though this text was written thousands of years ago, the wisdom within it is still so relevant today.
Right.
It's like a gift from the past offering guidance for living a healthier, more balanced, and more fulfilling life.
And it's a journey of discovery that never really ends. The more you learn about these principles, the more you start to see them reflected in your own life, in the world around you.
So to our listeners, what's one thing you'd encourage them to take away from this deep dive? What's like the one little nugget of wisdom they can start applying in their lives today?
I'd say start by paying attention. Notice the connections between your body and the natural world. How do you feel when the seasons change? What foods are you drawn to? What activities make you feel energized? And what drains your energy? The answers are all there, waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said. And thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating exploration of the Yellow Emperor's classic. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, keep diving deep, keep exploring, keep asking questions. There's a whole world of ancient wisdom out there waiting to be rediscovered.
And until next time, may your deep dives always be filled with wonder and discovery.